The United Nations Truce Supervision Organization, or UNTSO, supports the peaceful resolution of the Arab-Israeli conflict.
This year it's 70 years since UNTSO was established on the initiative by Folke Bernadotte, Count Folke Bernadotte. Folke Bernadotte was in the Middle East as the first ever UN mediator with the task to negotiate peace between the young Jewish state Israel and its Arab neighbors.
It is the first United Nations peacekeeping mission.
We are now looking back at 70 years in service, the oldest peacekeeping mission in the UN system. It has survived several wars. 2 of the armistices are now replaced with peace agreements. A lot of development has taken place on the ground. But the mission is still alive and kicking. And it's alive and kicking because the lines before the 1967 war is a point of reference that the whole Arab world and much of the international world argues makes a difference.
I think the simplicity of the mandate has allowed it to adapt over the years to varying situations. I've often summed it up when I was talking to observers during my time as Chief of Staff and Head of Mission. I was saying there were 2 things. One was monitor, observe and report, and the other was assist the parties.
UNTSO military observers working without weapons, unarmed in the area. They have been a neutral and impartial element on the field.
UNTSO is a peacekeeping mission with a regional mandate with tactical, national and strategic components across 5 countries. UNTSO operates in Egypt, Israel, Jordan, Lebanon and Syria.
There's a very structured training regime and a very robust set of standard operating procedures, SOPs, that have been developed and proven over the years.
We cannot overestimate the importance of having people on the ground in a situation, neutral people that, as much as possible, all parties trust, whether it's anti-government armed elements, whether it's conventional military elements, or whether it's the civilian population from all ethnic backgrounds. It is invaluable to have those people moving around and being able to accurately and impartially report what is going on, and the human interaction that goes with that technology, like UAVs and automated cameras, they cannot give you that level of expertise and understanding of a particular situation on the ground.
The security and the political situation in the Middle East remains fluid, and UNTSO evolves accordingly.
Primarily we were told you observe and report, but more and more we were being asked to give an assessment as objectively as you can about what that means, what it means to the mission, what it means to risk, what it means to safety, what may happen in the future. And that's one of the challenges, because you neither want to under or overstate something.
With both military and civilian peacekeepers from more than 25 different countries, UNTSO remains committed to working for peace in the Middle East.
I'd like to feel that the civil-military mix worked well. It is a challenge in any mission that the civilian and the military mix does work well. And to make that work, you need to have a strong leadership team to generate that camaraderie and collaboration to work together.
One feature of 1993-94 that I recall is that this was the first time that female officers were deployed to the UNTSO mission, and there's no doubt about it that the female officers integrated into the mission had an impact, and a positive impact, in the cultures of the area, in meeting with the local population and in perceptions of the UN force operating.
The most challenging during my deployment was that I went for deployment well prepared, knowing that I was the first female outstation chief, realizing that might be a problem in the area. But the challenge was to show the people that it doesn't matter whether you're male or female in that position.
It's a really complex and challenging part of the world, and UNTSO is responsible for 5 different nations, and you know, that conflict that occurs at different times, I guess, results in different deployments for people depending on when they go, and it ebbs and flows depending on the situation at the time.
I was deployed in Jerusalem, but of course with the responsibility for the whole mission area, so I travel intensively. The whole situation in the Middle East is very fragile, although it doesn't seem that way. Everything seems quiet and easy when you travel from one capital to the other, and suddenly things can go wrong, and you are facing a crisis, and you are facing casualties in your own team.
A challenging aspect during my deployment was the internal conflict in Syria in October 2013. One of the observation posts was caught in the crossfire, and we had colleagues deployed there, and we had them on the radio in contact with them. And how bizarre it is to look at an observation post being under fire, and knowing that your colleagues, your friends are in the safe room at that place. There's only a communication by radio, and we are looking at it from a safe distance, seeing it happen and not being able to do anything for the guys other than observe and report, which was our mission.
I deployed to UNTSO in December 2012. It's hard to pick out one specific incident, but at that period in time, the internal conflict in Syria was really starting to ramp up. So we went from, I suppose, a medium intensity environment initially when I deployed, but very quickly that ramped up into very high intensity operations. And bearing in mind, obviously, that UNTSO personnel are deployed unarmed, it was quite tricky to be travelling around that environment. Sometimes it's soft-skin vehicles, always unarmed, in an environment where there was heavy artillery fire, machine gun fire, and various other very serious incidents that in conventional operations you would really need a large amount of troops to move around in.
I think the most challenging aspect has to be the war in 2006 between Hezbollah and Israel, which lasted 34 days. Being a soldier, either fortunately or unfortunately, I had quite a bit of experience of being under fire in Lebanon. And all patrol bases took quite a number of firing closes. Then on the 25th of July, where all the remaining 3 patrol bases were all taking quite sustained fire in and around their positions. Unfortunately, patrol base Kiam seemed to be getting more aerial bombs than the rest of us. There were bombs landing around the patrol base between 200 and 300 meters. Eventually in the evening, after one very close, danger-close attack, we lost communications with the patrol base. Myself and an Australian colleague volunteered to take our armoured car and go up and try and see what was going on. But the Indian battalion was actually closer, so they were tasked with investigating. So naturally we switched our radio communications onto their frequency so we could listen in. And within a short space of time, we heard that the patrol base had taken a direct hit. That night, they managed to find 3 bodies, and the following morning, I was tasked to participate in the identification team. I then organised a minute's silence in their memory. And I have to say, a minute's silence in the middle of an ongoing battle was a surreal moment in an increasingly surreal war.
A travel to the Middle East is a long way to travel, but it's a longer way to travel within yourself. I can easily see that the most challenging conflict for myself was actually going out of the mission, coming back home, letting my shoulders drop down, relax, but I'm not there yet. Since 2015, I can say for sure.
I think the lessons I learned that life is for living, and you should never put off until tomorrow what you can do today. I think I also learned that life is sacred, and especially serving in the just cause of peace, I think reinforces that on a daily basis. I learned that you have to confront your fears, especially in difficult situations. I learned the true value of friendship, colleagues who stood up for each other and stood with each other in very trying circumstances. And I think the fact that so many of my colleagues that were there in 2006 returned in 2016 for the 10th anniversary is an indication of the type of friends that were made during that war.
Lima is Mike, mobile again, next destination, air-30, over.
Serving with UNTSO, United Nations Truce Supervision Organization, I realized how important the joint efforts to keep peace, joint efforts of different countries are important.
It was a great hope to have that assignment in UNTSO, and it has been one of the most rewarding assignments I had with the organization. I think I've carried with this kind of lessons learned, the complexity of an operation with military and political aspect, and the complexity of the region that has the charm of a long history and the thrill of a present that is still extremely challenging.
For us to contribute to UNTSO as global citizens is a great opportunity for us to be able to assist in conflict resolution in the Middle East.
Because no matter whether you're in Israel or you're in Syria or Lebanon, generally they all just want the conflict to end. They just want stability.
Yes, we are soldiers, yes, we are observers, yes, we are well trained. But it's more important that you use your personal skills, because that is the door to success.
We can only speculate how would the situation look like without multinational observer groups and UN present on the ground.
It is such an honor to work with 26 or 27 different nations, with all kinds of different experiences, young people, older people. It is actually great. The biggest thing is to be patient, to know that you in the year you're actually there and you are not able to solve the problem, but you are the small things you are actually doing contribute in solving the problems.
Peacekeeping is about supporting political solutions. It cannot substitute for the political will of the parties to end conflicts and to protect their people. UNTSO is one of 14 peacekeeping operations around the world. In the past 70 years, United Nations peacekeepers have made a tangible difference to hundreds of millions of the world's most vulnerable people. The 29th of May, the International Day of UN Peacekeepers, is dedicated to their service and sacrifice.